Good evening, everybody, and welcome to live coverage of this, what should be the fourth round of the BSR TV Carrera Cup in its very first season. Being raced live here on iRacing with the Rough R212 C-Spec. My name is Scott Woodwiss, and I'll be providing your commentary for tonight. And alongside me in the commentary box is going to be David Forsch and also Liam Stroud. So, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing really good today, thank you. I'd just like to say welcome to the booth, and I'm looking forward to broadcasting with you tonight.
Good stuff. I think we're just waiting for Liam to get back into the broadcast booth, but he should be here with us very soon. Of course, we were supposed to have 3 races at Brands Hatch, but unfortunately due to some issues with iRacing itself, we had to postpone those. So unfortunately we still have the whole championship sat at 0, but of course we did get our first racing action for the Carrera Cup live here at Silverstone. And we've had qualifying and we're currently into the 10-minute warm-up session, so we are looking at times as they come through. Fastest currently in the warm-up session is Diego Comuni on a 146.758. I believe Paul is somewhere around 4/10 quicker than that. But David, I mean, you watched the pre-season race at Spa. Just who is it that we're looking out for in terms of the top names for this championship? Who are you expecting to shine in this BSR Carrera Cup?
Now, quite honestly, it's really up to, I think it was 4 people, or 4 guys that I was really watching, as they were going around. James Yates, I believe, was one of them. He was showing a lot of great, handling out there, and he composed himself really well with the other cars around. There's one other that I kept talking about, but I cannot recall his name. But I know Yates is definitely one of them. If you give me one moment, I'll find the other name. Andreas Katz, that's one of them. He was driving really quick over in Spa. I believe he was running consistently in the top 5 for quite a few races, but he had a couple troubles, which kind of unfortunately put him back in the back. But hey, it all happens.
So I believe he's the reigning iRacing BTCC champion. So of course it's nice to see him make the step into the Carrera Cup, and these machines are not timid in any way. These things are running some 685 brake horsepower, going I believe through the rear wheels, because it is a rear-wheel drive based off the 911 Porsche, and it also runs through a 3.8 litre turbocharged flat 6. So a lot of power in these cars, a lot of torque as well. And something that makes it a very different beast towards the Kia Optima, which is run in the BCCC Championship. So of course, just what kind of skills are these guys going to need in order to try and handle these beasts around Silverstone for this championship, David?
It's going to take a lot of skill. It's Stephen Hug, I forget how to pronounce his first name, and I apologize. He just basically whipped it around in one of the, I would say it's one of the easy corners, so it's really all about the driver. It's going to take quite a bit of skill to, to get it around without any trouble. So they're small cars, a lot of power. They're not exactly 650 horse. They're actually running 450, and they only weigh 2,500 pounds. So they're going to require a lot of skill.
Well, of course, we have got 3 races running here tonight. Of course, our first one is, of course, just getting gridded up in just a few minutes. The next race will be roughly around 9:30, and then our third race of the evening will be at 10:10, and they will be split into 3 separate parts. So we will let you know at the end of each of the races to let you know who is going to be to switch over from one broadcast to the other, because we have them all set up. So as long as you can keep yourself on the BSR TV page on a separate tab, it will allow you to then jump from one to the other whenever we've finished one race. So the cars are soon going up to the grid, and we're going to read through quickly how they're going to line up for this race. So on pole position is going to be Diego Comuni in number. Actually, looking at the times, I've actually got Jan-Paul Niehuis is top. And I think we've got the lights ready to go, ready for the start here at the first race at Silverstone. Revs are away and off they go. Green flag race for the first round at Silverstone. Decent start from Jan-Paul Niehuis in the 69 as they charge down towards Cops Corner for the first time.
Big trouble in the back.
And who is that that's involved? I can't see that far back. Who's in trouble there?
I'm taking a look now, but it looks like one of the guys was up, flipping through the air. He was in the back of the pack. Oh, got it right here. Looks like Johan Lespinassi One of the guys spun his tires on the start and turned over to the right side. Actually, it was a bit of a netcode problem going on there. It looks like the netcode thought they clipped the car ahead, which was Paul Harrington. He got just turned to the right, and then it just happened. There are 3 cars involved. Tough luck for them at the beginning of it. But looking back up to the front of the pack, though, Scott, I mean, everyone seems to be giving each other room now. Up front, no problem so far. Okay.
I'm getting 1 or 2 audio issues, so hopefully we can sort that one out. But yeah, at the moment, it is still currently Jan-Paul Nijhuis who leads off the pole from Diego Comini in 2nd place. And then Amana I. Palumbo in 3rd in number 50. Jamie Wilson currently sits in. Actually, let's look at the proper what we've got at the moment. Bear with me. So it's still Palumbo in 3rd, Jamie Wilson 4th, Ian D. Smythe in 5th, and then Paul Richards number 236 in 6th position. Across the line they come for the first time, and Nijhuis is leading. Couple of cars in the pits after some troubles. And but a great start for Nijhuis. I know he's a very established racer in iRacing for GC racing, so it's good to see him off the line. And seems to have gotten away trouble-free, but of course he is having to fend off pressure from Community, who himself does have Palumbo all over his rear end as they head through the complex for the 2nd time, David.
Yeah, you know, and one thing I'd like to comment, how you asked me earlier, from the pre-race show, the top 6 is housing quite a few good drivers from Spa. You know, Lee Thompson in number 83, Jamie Wilson in the 87, and Andy Smith in 4th, or in the number 6. He's sitting in 4th position right now. They were really dominant drivers throughout all 3 races. They were up there in the front. They were really consistent. They could handle each other very well. So these guys are definitely going to be ones you want to watch coming up to the front of the field. You know, I mean, Palumbo, Comuni, and John Paul, they might be quick, but they're going to have competition towards the end of the race.
It's to stay in the gap, but just behind there's a nice scrap going on with looks between 5th, 6th and 7th. That's Jamie Wilson, Willie Thompson, and also Michele Carrera in the number 1 car as they turn their way through Bridge and up towards the complex of Priory, Brooklands and Lovefield. It's still Wilson who's at the head of that bunch. And now as they make their way through Brooklands, a very tricky left-hander, then the long right-hander that takes them all the way back towards the pits on the exit through Woodcote. And no change yet in the leaders so far. It's still Jan-Paul Nijhuis who continues to lead, and his gap has extended by just over a tenth of a second compared to what it was the last time he crossed the line. There's a car heading out of the pits after one of their 3 repairs, so that could be a spanner in the works if Nijhuis is not too careful. Now Community has pulled a small gap over Palumbo in 3rd place, and Ian D. Smith in 4th in the 06 is just there or thereabouts also. As they wind their way through the complex of Maggots and Beckett's and then Chapel before they head towards the Hangar Straight for the 3rd time. Of course, the 5th. It is Smythe, I've just been told, not Smith. Apologies for that one. There's quite a few names it's easy to mispronounce, and I'm pretty sure we'll do that over the course of these 3 races. I do apologise. So Nijhuis then continue leading as they turn their way through Stowe. And I just wonder, David, just what that back marker, what kind of role he's going to play, because of course he'll definitely be shown blue flags. He'll be able to see the leaders in his rearview mirrors, but one is wondering why he's not getting out of the way just yet. In fact, he is trying to now, but he's awfully slow, and that possibly could be bulking Nijhuis, and that's going to come up into the rest of the chasing pack as they head back towards the complex through this very fast left-hander of Abbey's. Not the chicane they used to have, but it's how it used to be on the old historic circuit, and finally the back marker does move out of the way. But really, David, he should have probably moved out a little bit sooner than that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you know, in his defense as the back marker, he really did not hold anybody up in a sense of being dangerous. You know, he was running his line. He was really consistent. He had a couple opportunities to where he could have backed out. You know, there was a couple spots where he could have backed out, but he really didn't harm anybody. You know, Jan Paul, he really did a good job at keeping his senses with him by staying back there. You know, he didn't make any, you know, unsensible attempts to pass him. But overall, you know, he made a really good decision to back out of it going into that corner and let everybody by. You know, but I see nothing quite wrong with that quite there. You know, he didn't put anybody at risk of making any huge mistakes. As looks like Diego Camuni and Palumbo are going at it back in third and second.
We've seen also Lee Thompson had a bit of a spin up at Priory, and that's put him down from what was 6th place down all the way to 22nd, and he's right in the thick of the pack as he tries to make his way back through the field. And as we now look back towards the front, we're seeing obviously
There's a three-way battle going on right now with Gary Tall, Robert Burton, Michael Steven, I'm sorry, not Elaine Tessier, he's up ahead, but Robert Burton, Gary Tall, Angelo Di Mella, and Michael Steven, they're all close to each other. As looks like Gary Tall looked to the right side of Robert Burton, but couldn't quite make it.
we'll continue in 13th place, of course, with Di Mella in 14th. In the 0.5. Looking at the gaps now, it's much more fast and frantic down behind. There's a huge gaggle of cars behind. Of course, we've got Johan Lespenas in 15th, and James Yates, Richard Wild, Liam Williams, Andreas Katz, the reigning iRacing BTCC champion, and of course Ben Tusting, who I know for a fact he races in real life. Oh, and contact just in front. Was that Gary Tall? I think may have been involved in that one. There was contact up at Priory.
Yeah, it looks like a 3-car contact. Gary Tall just went in a little too hot. I'm sorry, no. Robert Burton had to get on the brakes, and then got tapped from behind by Gary Tall, sending him around. But looks like no severe damage going on there, just some rear end. Everybody did a good job keeping them off each other.
I think Robert Burton, of course, is one of the cars that's a lap down. So unfortunately, he wasn't really doing anyone any favours by causing that accident, but he's now heading back into the pits, where I'm pretty sure in many cases it's probably the safest place for him right now. Back towards the front, as as Niehuis then continuing his lead, stretched out to 1.1 seconds, but the gap between Comuni and Palumbo is still roughly around 3/10 as they now make their way through Stowe, and they pulled away slightly from E&D Smythe in 4th. And looking down the field, the top 10 are separated by almost 12 seconds, with Tessier and the number 78 in 10th. So these guys are starting to settle down now, as the time elapsed has been roughly around kind of maybe 6 or 7 minutes or so. But because these are quite short 15-minute races, do you think there's a bit more desperation setting in for some of these drivers, David? Because of course, it is definitely very much a sprint race rather than endurance. These guys are not running for like an hour or so or for several laps. These guys have only got 15 minutes to make their mark and make an impact in this race to get as many points as they can. So they're going to have to take risks, and they're going to have to get messy if they're going to try and move up through the order.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is with that, last race that we did, because last weekend we unfortunately had to delay the Brands Hatch race, they were used to a track that was 4.35 miles long. Silverstone was only 2.93 miles with only 10 turns, so it's a shorter track, same amount of time but shorter track, so there's really not that much domain to, you know, move around on. So these guys should be getting a rather sense of urgency come the second race, because I think, you know, for this one they're all kind of not really used to it, but may have gone in expecting, you know, it's a short race but there's a lot of domain to race on. Here Silverstone really ain't that big.
Battle for 8th going on between the number 911 of Michael Booth and the 24 of Nico Brandt, with also the 78 of Alain Tessier getting involved also. Nice little three-way scrap going on as they make their way onto the hangar straight. And Booth just holding the advantage, pulling out slightly with a slightly better exit than the two cars behind as they make their way down towards Stowe. And Tessier may possibly line up one of these two for a pass if he can just get that little bit closer. And of course, with these cars being so evenly matched, it is really down to driver's skill rather than who has the better car. Of course, setup plays a massive role in this as well. But of course, it really does mean that whoever can handle this beast the best will be the ones up at the front. And of course, the man who's doing it better than anyone else so far is Jan-Paul Niehuis in the 69, as they head through to complete almost another lap. And GT Italia, one of the most prominent teams in the in this championship, and they have their cars 2nd, 3rd and 6th so far in the top 10 right now. And 2 of their cars are going into combat right now. It's Comuni and Palumbo, who haven't really been too far away from each other. And I reckon at some point, David, that Amano may give Diego the hurry up and say to him, "Come on, you have to get a move, otherwise I'm going to overtake you."
Yeah, you know, there's definitely going to be a point where that happens, especially since we're coming down to the final laps. You know, it's lap 7 out of 9. So they're definitely going to be starting a lot of urgency. If they're not communicating now, they're going to start. They're going to start now, saying, "Hey, we got to go. If you hold me back, I'm passing you." But it looks like we're not going to have that problem right now because Comuni is slowly pulling away just a little bit through those corners from Palumbo.
It's quite incredible also that the top 10 seems to be rather spread out, and it's kind of getting got distance between each other, and everyone seems to be splitting off into small packs. Because you can see Niwis is now 2 seconds up the road from this battle for 2nd place. Then you've got Ian D. Smythe in 4th, who is a further roughly about 2.5 seconds away from those two in front. Jamie Wilson's not too far away; he's about a second off. Michele Carrera in the number 1 is also a further half a second back. Then Anders Dahl is about almost 4 seconds back in 7th. So it really does seem as though we've got quite a split in terms of who's the stronger drivers, but it seems to be that most of the competition in this race, at least, appears to be down the back end, down from the middle of the pack downwards. Because if you look at how close everyone is, especially if you look down to the bottom end from about 22nd onwards, everyone's so closely packed together that that's where the bulk of the action is, and it seems to be that the leaders seem to be in their own kind of world, in their own race, and not really getting involved with each other too much.
Yeah, but that's how you pull out top finishes, though. If you can manage to spread out from the other drivers, give you room for error, that's how you win it. These guys on 22nd on back, they really don't have much of a choice to run away from each other. And I'm pretty sure if you ask them, that's what they'd want to do, is they'd want to get as much space as they can and start running down the car ahead. But being so close to each other is more of a hindrance than a perk. So I personally, I would prefer it being stretched out like this, simply because, well, as a driver, action-wise, I think everybody needs to come closer together.
Down the way, roughly around. I can actually get my coaster to work. Some 54 cars in this field, so there's plenty of machinery. You would have thought, of course, it'd be a little bit quicker, as I see Niwis has gone past another lapped car down the back straight as he heads towards Stowe again. And I'm pretty sure we're heading towards the end of the race pretty soon. So I might have to quickly tell in my how many minutes we've got. We've got another 2 laps to go. So at the end of this one, we've got just 1 more lap to go, and of course 1 more lap of Silverstone for Jan-Paul Niwis to negotiate in order before he takes what will be the first victory of the season, after we postponed all 3 of the Silverstone races, as we said. And I think, possibly looking behind, that Diego Comuni is possibly going to come under attack from teammate Palumbo very shortly. They make their way through the high-speed right-hander of Bridge and into the complex once again. And I'm pretty sure that Palumbo will line him up somewhere. If he won't do it in the next couple of corners, he may try and get him on the run towards the complex, if not down towards Stowe. But it does seem to be that Palumbo does have enough pace to get around Comuni, but it seems to be that, for whatever reason, he's either holding back, or he's just picking his moment and just waiting for the right opportunity, rather than make a dive bomb and potentially ruin both their races later.
Yeah, right now, the best thing to do is just sit there and plan your attack. You know, it's the white flag just came out. You know, they have one more time around the circuit, and if you know you're faster, you know your good corners, you know your bad corners, and these guys have been racing together so much. I'm pretty sure they know each other, and they know the weak point for one person, or you know, the strong spot for another, so they'll be able to pick and choose. So I'm pretty sure Palumbo just riding it out, being patient. Maybe he's not even trying to pass. You know, it'll all tell here in a couple seconds as Palumbo closes just a little bit more on Comuni. There he goes to the left side of Comuni, but no, he tucks it back in right under the bumper, going into the corner. No attempt.
The Italian would love to dearly take that one, and so far they're going the right way about it. But of course, Comuni just holding on. I reckon that was Palumbo's last chance.
Jamie Wilson just bobbled it going into the corner. He just looks like his back end just started coming out on the braking, and he did a really good job at saving it, but that really hurt him as far as positions. Actually, he just seems to have lost one, so I take that back.
That means he's got himself into fifth position. But back to the front, this man has taken what has been only described as a textbook lights the flag victory. He heads around Luffield for the final time. He's very prominent in iRacing sports cars, and he has shown exactly why in this first race. He heads towards Luffield for the final time. Jan Paul Nick with his account in the perfect style, pole position, and a lights the flag victory in the 69. He takes the victory in race 1, and Diego Comuni just wins out the battle of the GT Italia cars to win second, Ed Palumbo in third. Ian D. Smythe will take fourth. And then just at the end, of course, Jamie Wilson looks like he will miss out on fifth. Indeed, we can look back to the rest of the field as they start coming through, and just how close it was as they all start to filter across the line. But you have to say, David, a pretty standard win for Jan-Paul Niguez. Trouble-free. Wasn't really attacked from anyone all race long, and was pretty much left to his own devices. And a pretty standard win for him.
Yeah, you know, and that's the type of win you not really want, the type of win that you would welcome. You know, he really didn't have much of a challenge. He just had to race the track, you know, stay consistent, stay smooth. Is there trouble?
We had a bit of contact on the pit straight, I think, from a couple of cars. I couldn't quite tell who it was, but a couple of cars did get together just before the line. There's one car which is crawling along the pit wall, as the rest of the 54 strong field charged its way across the line to finish their first of 3 races. And some of these rough RT12 C-Spec cars a little bit battered and bruised, as one car waits at the line, let a couple of cars through, so that was possibly some contact between them. But certainly fast and frantic in the midfield, and apologies we didn't get too much time to show you what was going on, but of course with such a big field, it's quite hard to keep track of a lot of drivers in here, because of the fact that we have got over 50 competitors racing at once. But as they start to head across the line, find a few cars, we have to admit that an intriguing first race at least. There's quite a few talking points we can take away from that, but the main point is that Jan-Paul Niguez has certainly put on a benchmark, as that effectively he said to all the rest of the field, this is exactly what I can do in terms of pace. You guys are going to have to step up your game if you're going to get anywhere close.
Yeah, you know, the one thing about this particular, you know, racing style is there's 3 races. You can still come out on top even if you don't win the first race, you know, because there's always 2 others. All you got to do is stay consistent, and you can either, you know, just knock the guy who is being consistent winning. That's the only thing you got to look out for. If you're consistently up in the top 5 for all 3 races all week out, you know, week in, week out, you can still do good. So that's the interesting part of this all, is you don't have to win to be good.
iRacing BTCC champion, he was down in 51st place, which was rather unbelievable. But that's the end of the broadcast for the first race. Of course, if you do stay tuned with us, if you just head back to the BSR TV page and click on race 2, it should be named round 5, and we'll continue our broadcast there. But Jan-Paul Niguez has taken the first victory here at Silverstone. Stay tuned, we've got 2 more races to go, second race at 9:30, so be sure to switch over, and we'll see you there.